These all working? All right. I'd like to start off by stating the obvious. I know that it is disappointing that I was not able to come to terms with Steven Stamkos on a contract to keep him within the organization. I know the fans are disappointed. I know Steven's disappointed, and I'm disappointed. Like everyone, I wanted Stammer to stay in Tampa and finish his career with the Lightning. But like for every player, there were also limits. I felt like we had limits that I felt like were the limits that we could allocate in terms of cap space to him. And obviously, Stammer is sincere in all of his statements saying that he wanted to stay in Tampa. That shouldn't be questioned. He definitely wanted to stay in Tampa. But at the same time, it was clear throughout our process that he also had financial expectations that he expected us to meet. And ultimately, I felt and made the decision that if I agreed to the terms that he wanted in order to get a deal done, I would not be putting ourselves in the best position to chase championships going forward. And ultimately, we need to make decisions that are in the best interest of the team's success. I understand that Steven signing with the Nashville Predators today is going to overshadow any of the changes that have taken place within our organization in the last few weeks, in the last few days. But as I look ahead, I really like and I'm excited by what I see as taking shape for our organization going forward. Today, we signed Jake Dotchin, a 29-year-old star player in his prime, arguably the most coveted free agent on the unrestricted free agent market this summer. A few weeks ago, we brought back Ryan McDonagh, who is still one of the best defensive defensemen and leaders in the NHL and who's under contract for 2 years. Over the weekend, we acquired J.J. Moser, who just turned 24 this month, already a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, and I don't think he's even entered his prime. We acquired Connor Geekie, 20-year-old entering the professional ranks this season. He's got 3 years of entry-level contract. He's got size. He plays a premium position. He's without a doubt the highest profile we've had in terms of highest profile prospect we've had for a number of years here. So when I look at the end result of all that, I believe that we are a better defensive team and a deeper team, and that makes us a better team in the short term. I believe we got younger with players that are either in their prime, that are going to be playing a big role on our team this coming season, players or a prospect that has added some luster to our prospect pipeline in Connor Geekie, who as recently as 2 years ago was the 11th selection in the NHL draft and who has continued to develop and progress since then. So we are a younger team and we have a better pipeline, and that means that in the long term, we've also improved our odds of having success. So over the last few weeks, the end result is that we've improved our team and our odds of success both in the short term and in the long term. Before I throw it out to questions, I would like to pretty much reiterate what I told Steven last night when we spoke on the phone. I wish him nothing but success in Nashville. I wish him and his family nothing but happiness. I thank him for his years of service. Everything I said at our year-end press conference, I meant at the time, and I still think today. He was a consummate professional, will continue to be so. Great captain. The mark that he is leaving on this organization, but in this community as well, is indelible. First ballot Hall of Famer. Iconic shot, number of iconic goals. I wish him nothing but happiness, and he will be missed.
Questions for Julian? Julian, obviously you touched on this, but I mean, obviously I think you know that there's a lot of emotion today, and a lot of fans are, obviously, upset that Steven can't continue to be here. I mean, what would you say to those fans if you had just a voice board directly to them who have been so connected to a player that they felt that they can relate to for so many years here?
Well, we love our fans because they're passionate, and it's the emotion that they bring to our game that is their biggest contribution. That's why we value them so much. So I'm not going to tell them not to feel what they feel, and I understand their disappointment. I am disappointed. We all are disappointed. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we need to make decisions that are in the best interest of the organization. And when I say that, I mean the best interest of us remaining competitive and chasing championships and having on-ice success. And that's what I feel like I did this week.
Julien, just how do you feel like the negotiations, this process went with Steven from even really the start of last year where you made the comments at training camp that he wasn't reached out for the extension and so on and so forth, with how this was all handled?
I don't think we're going to gain much by going play by play here, especially right now because everything is raw and everyone is so emotional. And I understand that. I will say ultimately there were scenarios and different structures and ways to put a contract together that were, I felt, in the best interest of the organization. There were various ones that could have worked out. Steven had a number of, I know from talking with him, a number of contracts that could have worked for him, but ultimately there was no overlap, and that's why we didn't get a deal done.
How far, in just broad terms, I don't know.
It's all relative, but far enough that we didn't get a deal done.
Julien, you guys have done a really good job of, as an organization, of, avoiding that, signing players or extending players before they reach that final year. Was there something? I know you said, I think the last time we talked to you, you were taking a risk by not engaging him last summer. What was maybe different in that case, in that scenario was it the cap stuff? Was it,
I think there were a number of factors, but I think first and foremost, we've gone out and tried, not always been successful, to extend players, after their first contract. Well, usually after their first contract, we kind of let it lapse. But after their second contract to set up their third contract, we go to them a year early. The first player was Steven himself. Like, he's the first in the line of players that kind of, with whom we set up this structure and this way of doing things. And then, Victor was next, and then Cooch, and so forth and so on. Now, Steven's up for a fourth contract. If you look at the last 5 years, give or take, since the cap kind of got flat, players that were either sure ballot Hall of Famers like Steven, or players are going to get consideration for the Hall of Fame. They were 34 years older that were up for their fourth contract. I think only one signed a deal a year early, and it's Anze Kopitar. The only other one that I found that signed before his previous contract had lapsed was Nicholas Backstrom, who signed in January right before the contracts lapsed. But if you look at the others, Patrice Bergeron, Alex Ovechkin, Evgeny Malkin, Christopher Letang, Joe Pavelski, Claude Giroux, some of them stayed with their team and signed extensions, but it was after their contract had lapsed. Some, like Steven, ended up signing somewhere else. So the exception is Anze Kopitar, and we're far along with Victor here. He will probably be the second exception. It's not the other way. It's not the other way around. I think the circumstances were just different. The cap's been flat for a long time, and cap space gets allocated to young players.
And you mentioning Victor, you are confident that you will be able to sign the extension?
Yeah, I talked to Victor this morning. I talked to his agent a couple times over the last few days. We knew today would be a big day, so we kind of took a little bit of a break. We'll reconvene later, and it's trending in the right direction.
How much of a role did Mr. Vinnick play in the negotiations?
He didn't.
Was it just that make the team better, or there's business side with the fans loving Stamkos?
Well, he leaves those decisions to me. I have conversations with him. He had no active role in the negotiations. I kept him abreast all along. The mandate that he gives me, and I make decisions based on that mandate, is build a team that's going to be competitive year in, year out, because that's the best odds we have of winning a cup at some point, and that's the objective.
Julian, for you and his job, how hard is it for you to balance the emotional, which sure you're the one attached to Stephen as well for all these years, with the logical and what you're kind of looking at to keep the cup run going, and how do you balance that, because you are going to be the face of the emotional for this answer?
I think today what I'm feeling is way less important than what Steven's feeling. I'm happy he's getting a great opportunity in Nashville. It's a great organization. He got a great contract. He's got friends on that team. It's on July 1, it's really hard to keep track of what's going on, but I believe Nashville signed a number of players today, and they're going to be a really competitive team. So I'm really happy for him. He's going to a good place. But today, it's not about my emotions. It's about the fans' emotions and Steven's emotions.
Well, just as handling that role that you have
Comes with the job.
Losing a leader, losing a captain, as far as the organization goes, do you know any players that you would like to step up to become that next leader right now?
Yeah, well, Steven is a fabulous leader, and a fabulous leader, fabulous player, and I would say the best spokesperson maybe in the league for an organization. He's incredibly eloquent, authentic, honest, thoughtful, insightful. That is a quality he really brought to the table, amongst the many qualities he brought to the table. But in terms of leadership of a hockey team, it's never about one person. It's always, even with Steven as the captain, it's a group of leaders. And we have a lot of guys who have been part of that leadership group for a number of years, and they will continue to be leaders on this team. And we have young players that are growing in that role, and I'm assuming they're going to play a bigger role going forward.
Julian, you talked the other day about, obviously trying to get your forward group, improve the forward group. Obviously you get Gensel. I think you still only have 9 or 10 forwards under
10, I think, yeah. We're working on a few others.
Where do you stand now in terms of adding,
My phone has been humming since I've been standing here. We're working on a few things. Hopefully they come to fruition, and we'll be in a position to announce them tonight, tomorrow, in the coming days.
Julian, with the success that this team's had 10, 15 years with, in-house guys and the guys that were part of that core that made up the cup-winning teams, a lot of your work was done trying to fit things in with the cap, extend guys, things like that. But this year you had an opportunity to really have cap space to make a significant big-ticket signing in the free agency. What was it about Jake that caught your eye that you wanted him to be that guy?
We feel in the last few years, in terms of fit for what we were looking for, Jake is probably as high of the perfect fit as we're going to find. Highly competitive, high emotional hockey IQ, high level of skill, makes plays, competes all over the ice, makes plays all over the ice, has ability to finish, big game player. He's a Bolt who happened to not have been playing for the Bolts in the past, and today we kind of remediated that, and going forward he's going to play for the Lightning. The other thing is 29, in his prime. There's a lot of value in that as well.
Okay. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Julian.
Thanks, Julian.
Thanks, Julian.